Andrew Wyeth is remembered as one of the most influential and talented artists of the North American art scene. Realistic realism, emotional authenticity, and undertones of abstraction and symbolism all permeate his work. Yet, his themes frequently center on people, everyday life, and scenery. Wyeth's work is remembered fondly, but none is more discussed than his famous 1948 masterpiece Christina's World. This seminal work invites the viewer to a mysterious pastoral scene introduced by the curved figure of a young woman, and sets the tone for a heartfelt story about human endurance and strength. A young woman lies crookedly on a dry grass field. She looks back at a large gray wooden farmhouse surrounded by a simple fence. Other shabby structures surround the property, and a dirty car track cuts through the dry yellow field. In its stillness and quietness, the scenery is captivating and powerful. You can see each meticulously painted blade of grass, feel the slight breeze blowing through the field, and smell the faint essence of grass thanks to Wyeth's masterful hand. Despite the landscape's dominance, the form of the faceless woman immediately captivates you and keeps you tied to feelings of uncertainty. Something doesn't feel quite right. It's not her clothing. Her long, soft pink gown and gray shoes contrast beautifully with the cool tones of her surroundings. It's not just that she's lying on the ground, or that her face is missing, even though mystery surrounds her missing facial features, and you've wondered what she might look like. There's something else that makes you feel tense and uneasy: her twisted arms and crooked figure. Many other works of art are framed by the tales of their masters, even if many stand alone without any context related to their creators or their time. One such piece, Christina's World, requires us to consider the life and work of its artist in order to completely comprehend the structure and significance of the painting. On July 12, 1917, Andrew Wyeth was born in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, into a family of artists. In his lifetime, N.C. Wyeth, also known as Newell Convers Wyeth, produced more than 3,000 paintings and illustrated 112 books, making him a prolific painter and illustrator. And surprisingly, Andrew Wyeth learned how to draw from his father at a young age and, by the time he was a teenager, had even published drawings under his father's name. Although Andrew Wyeth was happy to assist his father, he lacked enthusiasm for drawing. He liked to paint. Andrew Wyeth honed his painting skills using watercolors and egg tempera, which would later become his favorite painting techniques. With the support of his father's careful guidance, and then the assistance of his brother-in-law Peter Hurd, astonishing those who thought of Wyeth as a realist painter, Wyeth gradually began to become exclusively interested in capturing the simplicity of life, embracing the creative inclinations of the regionalist style while preserving, as he said, a strong link with abstraction. Wyeth argued, "My people, my objects breathe in a different way. There's another core and excitement that's definitely abstract. My God, when you really begin to peer into something, a simple object, and realize the profound meaning of that thing, if you have an emotion about it, there's no end." When Andrew Wyeth held his first solo exhibition at the Macbeth Gallery in New York City in 1937, he was already a well-known artist who sold out the whole collection. Wyeth's style had fully developed by this point into routine representations of formal pictorial beauty with underlying abstractions, emotional undertones, and symbolic significance. His palette, meantime, was noted for its constrained, subdued color palette. While Wyeth was confident in his status as a well-known, accomplished artist, neither the general public nor critics had a great deal of respect for him yet. After a tragic encounter with a resident of the Olsen house in Cushing, Maine, everything would alter. For his 22nd birthday in 1939, Wyeth made the choice to travel to Maine, where he intended to meet up with an old buddy who was also an artist. He met Betsy Janes, then 17 years old, while at his friend's house. 10 months later, Wyeth would wed her. The two agreed to see Betsy's old pals in response to her suggestion. There, Wyeth met Alvaro Olson and his sister Anna Christina Olson, who would later become his close friends and neighbors. The Olson children immediately grew to be very close to Andrew Wyeth, who devoted the majority of his time and talents to them. In reality, from 1937 to the 1960s, Wyeth painted almost 300 drawings, watercolors, and tempera paintings at and of the Olsons' farm with complete, unhindered access. Nonetheless, Christina Olson was Wyeth's preferred subject. On May 3, 1893, Anna Christina Olson was born. She had Charcot-Marie tooth disease (CMT), which weakens the muscles in the feet and lower legs. The tongue, hands, wrists, and finger mobility and coordination are disturbed by CMT. Because of this, Christina was paralyzed from the waist down and frequently crawled around her property, as shown in Christina's World. Christina's World was inspired by Christina's zest for life and created by Wyeth. Wyeth was inspired by her spirit of independence and wanted to give honor to her astounding mastery of a life which most people would deem hopeless. I would have succeeded in my goal if I can even inadvertently convey to the observer through paint that her environment may be physically constrained but in no way spiritually. In the end, Wyeth painted Christina in a number of his pieces, and thanks to his commitment, he created the piece of art that would go on to become his most well-known and profitable. Although Christina Olson and Andrew Wyeth had a wonderful personal and professional connection, it is interesting to note that the farmhouse itself initially attracted the artist rather than Christina Olson's personality and way of life. Wyeth claimed that the reason he asked to stay on the farm was due of his original creative fascination with the Olson house. He decided to remain on the farm. In addition, Wyeth had a tiny work studio on the second floor where, in the summer of 1948, he watched Christina scuttling around her fields, inspiring the creation of Christina's World. Wyeth had complete access to the Olson house for the following 3 decades. In the course of his 70-year career, Wyeth only ever depicted his native Chadds Pennsylvania, as well as the Olson house and his vacation residence in Cushing, Maine. Wyeth has said of the Olson home in Maine, "I just couldn't stay away from there. I took other photos while getting to know them, but I constantly seemed to return to the house. It was in Maine. The windows in the pictures of that mansion resemble eyes or almost portions of the soul. Each window represents a distinct aspect of Christina's life to me." Even after relocating to a home adjacent to Christina and Alvaro Olson with his wife, Betsy, Andrew Wyeth maintained a strong friendship with both of them. Wyeth frequently used the following description of Christina to express his admiration and affection for her. "Her voice is immediate, without self-pity, and she follows what she has to say with a smart, deliberate glance from her brown eyes. She possesses a strength of spirit that would consider any mockery of her immobility offensive." Christina's appreciation for the artist and her thankfulness for being transported, as she put it, to many places through his paintings were both clear. Because of their close relationship, Andrew asked to be buried near to the Olson children. Wyeth painted Alvaro and Christina after the siblings passed away in an effort to preserve their connection and memory. The artwork serves as a kind of portrait. "I painted this the summer after Christina and her brother Alvaro both passed away. I saw it as a depiction of the entire Olson environment. When I entered, the basket, the buckets, and the gorgeous blue door with all the strange scratches the dog had left on it seemed to express those 2 persons at once. The Olsons were no longer present, but they were still strongly felt." Christina's World is a potent work devoted to the human psyche and how it interacts with the environment. Despite its rich contextual background, the most important aspect of Wyeth's groundbreaking piece is its psychological landscape, which, as the title suggests, is a superb examination and portrayal of Christina's own inner world. Despite her obstacles, Christina advances toward her family's property in the picture as she would in real life, demonstrating her perseverance. Because of Andrew Wyeth's skill as an artist, Christina is really fighting an uphill struggle as the viewer looks at the painting. Wyeth knew from loving experience that she would overcome this challenge just as she had many times before. Nowadays, Christina's world is recognized as one of the finest examples of American art from the 19th century, while the painting's creative talent and pleasing composition help it stand out. Its heartfelt tale of friendship and compassion is what really makes it special. What are your thoughts on Christina's world and the sad but resilient reality behind the painting? Comment them down below. If you liked the video and found it interesting, like and subscribe for more videos like this one and turn on notifications.